You'll probably see something pop up on your screen saying you accept the fact that you're being recorded. This is for the benefit of those people that can't make it for whatever reason. So, okay, I think I'm just going to go ahead and start. I'll start by sharing my screen. Let's see, where's that button up there? Okay, let me know if are you seeing the grant?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to start with the general operating support grant because that one's the more complicated one, and both of them have similar questions. There's just a slight change for the special project. So we'll start with the general operating support. Your deadline is September 25th. I highly recommend that you download the guidelines and print them out and read them. I'm going to pull up the finance chart. So when you click on this, what happens is you're downloading it. This is not like the grant application where you can input directly online. You have to download this, and then you need to open it up. And this is what it looks like this year. But we'll get to those little details later. I just wanted to make sure that you understood what you had to do, because some people think you can just like input directly, and you can't. You have to download it, and then it's an attachment that you re-upload. We have a conflict of interest certification. That is an application that you can fill out online. So you just click through to that. Click through just so you can see what it looks like. And it's just your name, all the stuff that you're saying that, all the legalese things that they make us put in here. And then you sign it at the bottom. All right, so starting with the checklist. This is just a helpful thing so that you know that you've hit all the buttons, all the things that you need to prepare before you get to fill out the application. You should probably work on you don't have to work on your finance chart. You can do these out of order, but you need to have all of these at the end and tick them off in here so that you got everything that you needed. The very first question is, what is your organization type? Now, we are currently accepting applications from arts organizations and also non-arts organizations if the project, but this is more for special projects, if it's a project that is arts focused. We require that an organization be in existence at least 1 year as of January 2026. This information is typical. I don't think you might have too many questions about this. You just put in who the applicant organization is, the email address. This is the email address that all your notifications are going to come from, all your correspondence is going to come from. So if you have more, put the main one there, but if you have more than one email address and you have more than one person that should see the kind of communications that are coming from us, please email extra emails to me separately, and I'll add them to the spreadsheet. This would be your contact person, which I would assume would be you, but maybe it's a grant writer. The cultural code you'll find on page 6 of the instructions, which you downloaded presumably prior to starting this. And the same thing with the discipline code. You can find out what your legislative district is by going to this link here. What is your mission statement? This should be something short. Mission statements generally aren't really big, long descriptions. They are just, what is the core reason why your organization is in existence? And here we would like a short project summary. You'll have the opportunity later to go into more detail, but just a short summary, because what happens here is, of course, the adjudicators from the peer panel see this, but also when this goes to the full commissioner board, They don't want to read the whole project. They just want to know a short description of what you're doing. The total grant request is $16,000 is the maximum award. We ask that you be very truthful in your budgeting. We can't award a full 16,000 to everybody. We're going to have a lot more applicants this year, so try to be as correct as possible in budgeting for what it is that you need the money for the year. Also, because that's one of the things that the adjudicators look at, and if they see people just going for the full amount, but they're just it doesn't look good. You should be honest. Here you tick off whether you saw the grant workshop or attended the grant workshop, so that's kind of important. And now here's the part that everybody usually has a problem with, because small nonprofit organizations often don't have the capacity to have full ADA plans. Their boards are small, they're fairly new, they're just getting into it. So we don't require that you have an ADA plan. Many of the nonprofits that apply here do have an ADA plan. But part of the reason why we have this in here is to help you develop one. Because while we're very lenient and we just hope that you do your best, bigger grant amounts can be received from other granting organizations, but then they require something like this, and then there's no flexibility. So we feel like our grant is kind of a stepping stone, a step off point for your smaller nonprofits to be able to build an ADA plan and to get into the habit of thinking that way and eventually create one so that you can grow your organization and grow your funding. So when we ask something like, does your board have an ADA plan, and you click no, it doesn't count against you. If you have one, that's great. It's very much appreciated. So what we do instead here is to help you build your plan, is to start asking the kind of questions that are the building blocks of an ADA plan. So we do expect you to answer these questions. And answering no is not nobody is taking points off for how involved your ADA plan is. However, they could be looking at it. Like there's nothing in that the adjudicators see that go points for ADA plan. There's nothing like that. But they will see what you're doing, and it will have some effect probably in how they view an organization if you do have one. So, I mean, don't panic. Generally speaking, we give everybody some amount of money. I can only think of one instance that someone did not get funded, and that was because it was very clear that it was not an organization, it was an individual artist, and it was self-serving. So all the organizations that apply, that are real organizations, will get some amount of funding. I can't promise how much or what percentage, or I have nothing to do with that aspect of it. That aspect of it is determined both by the peer panel, who determines how much they like your application, how complete it is, how important your goal is. But it's also determined by the commissioners too. They sometimes do some adjustments too. Let's see. So this is where you would upload your ADA plan if you have it. If you don't have one, just skip right over that and just continue to answer these questions. It would be good for someone in your organization, a volunteer board member, to be designated as your ADA person, as your access coordinator. Doesn't hurt. It could also be you. But I think it looks better, and it's also good in like getting yourself in the mindset of actually getting a plan with working on a plan with your board to have somebody whose responsibility is to think about these things. So then comes the narrative. So this is very similar in both the general operating support as well as the special project grant application. Short history of your program. Again, relating it to the New Jersey Arts Plan, which is listed in the grant guidelines that you will have downloaded. And just, what makes your organization important to your community. Then you can describe some of the programs and services you offer to the public during the previous 12-month period and how they benefited your community. And, we are looking for trying to diversify the community that we serve. So any efforts that you've made in that respect, please, list them here. Then there's the planning for your upcoming grant. This is where you get your details in. There is no limit to the amount of text these boxes look small, but they keep expanding with the more information that you put in there. So without getting repetitive, go ahead and put as much detail as you want. And I think most of these questions are self-explanatory. Number 5 here is the principal artists involved in your organization programs and their qualifications. So that includes staff and that includes guest artists. I'll use the example of Main Street Mount Holly. They have a mural grant that they got from us last year or this year. And so in their grant application, they included the artists that were going to be painting the murals, which included also their biographies and samples of their work. So if there is anybody major that you're using as consultants, as staff, it's good to have the bios involved in there. Directors, assistant directors. It really depends on your project, and what your organization does. And then here we go, your audience. That's pretty standard too. I don't know that I have to go into great deal detail there. I think we're probably going to end up with most of the questions being about the finances. This is your standard question about how do you define success, and how do you evaluate it. This is hard for some organizations if what you're doing does not have an audience with ticketed sales or some way to actually count people. So I've always had a problem with this too, but I do think that online surveys are a good way to see what kind of reach that you have, especially if you've got like a Facebook page and you can do a survey about how people reacted to your whatever, your plein air painting competition, or try to capture as much information from people that you're serving as you can. The people you're serving are the same people that are members of your organization, so that makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, interviews, surveys, reviews of your performances, if you have those, things like that. And you should be working on a publicity plan. This does not mean that you have to pay for print publicity, because I have to be quite frank with you, we don't really do that here at the county either. Most of our programs end up being because of Facebook posts, and we do have our guide, our physical guide, but really a lot of that also is because we create a guide and it's also online. And that's where we push that mostly. So, having a social media plan is very, very helpful. And then down here, we have the stuff that our DGISCA requires. Just click. If there's a certain population that makes 50% or more of who you serve, and it fits into one of these groups, then click it. Otherwise, hit none of the above. Nobody is going to. Again, this is not something that is like you get demerits for not hitting any of those things. And then if you have any noteworthy partnerships or collaborations with other arts organizations, they don't have to be part of the grant. It's good to see nonprofit organizations working with other community organizations, even township municipalities. Could be any kind of a partnership, even if it's just that you self-promote each other or whatever it is. You can put it in here. But we do encourage partnering with other organizations to get your reach further. All right, so now the budget narrative. Let's go look at this finance chart again. So what we got here is we need to know what your actual income, contributed income, earned income, and total income is from last year. This will add up automatically, or it should here. If it doesn't, I'll add it up later. We want it from this past year, or where you are now. We need it for what you're thinking to budget last year, what you budgeted for this year, and what you project for 2027. This is the amount that this is the number that you're saying that we need these monies. We have this money to support it, our project. We need these monies to cover staff salaries, artist fees, technical production, that kind of thing. And these are all pretty simple categories. Is there any question about any of these categories? Okay, so for
yes, I'm sorry, Lynn.
Sure,
I did have
sure.
a question. I did have a
Yeah,
question.
sure.
So we have, which I didn't realize, we have an endowment
Okay,
that they give us money for our art exhibit for the awards.
okay.
Does that fall under foundation?
That is, who is it an endowment from an individual, or is it from
Yes. So
if
there's
it's
two
from an individual? And is this something that is just like they give you this money every year?
every year because it's set up so
Okay.
the Ben Cohen and a
Oh,
gentleman by the name of Mr. Reeves, I can't remember his first name. There's two of them, and they every year the way it's set up, they allow us to pull money from these funds
okay.
for our awards only. So I didn't know
Well,
if that went
that
under
works. Yeah, that is definitely income. I would put that under foundation support. Yeah.
foundation. Okay, and then
Yeah.
my other
But I
question.
would mention that in your narrative that's where that money comes from.
Okay, under the narrative. Okay, under narrative. And then my other question is, where do I put the awards that we pay out? I saw that as when I looked at my expense side, would that fall under
Artist fees and
technical?
artist fees and stipends.
Oh, okay. So that would be artist. Okay, okay, gotcha.
I would consider an award like a stipend.
Artist fees. Okay.
When you're looking at technical production, that
I
part,
was.
yeah,
Yeah, I
no, that's
was.
things like if you were renting a tent for an event.
Okay,
Or
so
actually, that's rentals, isn't it? If it's a rent, technical, like if you were having a concert and you were hiring a sound people to do that, aspect of it. That's more of like for performances more so than what you guys do.
Okay, great. Thank you. That helps.
Sure. And then if you ever not know what to put it under, you can always stick it under itemized other expenses. You know, if you ever have a question and you just have no idea, it's some weird expense, you can just put it under that too.
Okay,
But
because
then also you can just email me and I can tell you where to put it.
that's where I put the holiday party expense under
Right.
other.
Right.
Thank you.
No problem. So I'm trying to think if is there any other questions about this? All right, so if we're getting into, so this is just the basics, bare bones. But when you get into the grant narrative, oh yes. Pat.
Lynn, I'm so sorry. I looked at my notes. I do have one more question in
Sure.
regards to the spreadsheet. In-kind services. Last year we had a formula,
Yep.
but I didn't see that on the,
No, it's not in here, but the formula's in the manual. If
all right, so
if you
I just
open
have to
that up,
find
the
it
formula's in
someplace.
there.
It's a form,
I
okay.
don't provide the formula because that formula is done by the this nonprofit organization that calculates it for the year, and that changes every year. So you would go to the website.
Website.
Yeah, it should be in the manual.
Okay. And
Mhm.
the manual for,
What you should have downloaded before you even opened up the application.
the manual. Okay,
Up at
so
the
I'll look
top.
again then. So,
Yeah.
okay, I'll look again. Okay, I
Okay, if
must,
you can't find it, I'll send you the link. It's not a
thank
problem.
you.
Okay,
You're
anybody
so
else have
helpful.
anything?
Thanks. Thanks.
All right, so, okay, so I think we can leave that little baby behind. So I think it pretty much says, you just have to say where you got your numbers from is basically what the budget narrative is. If you have ticket sales or whatever it is, break it down. Just briefly explain your line items. Right. Once you've completed that lovely Excel spreadsheet, you can drag and drop it in here or upload it here. And this is where we need your IRS information. And this is where we need your New Jersey Charitable Registration Certificate. If you are behind on that, but you're working on it, that's okay. Do not, we can be patient because I know sometimes people fall out of compliance with New Jersey charitable registration. It's not a big deal to get just so that we know you're working on it again. Here we would have the copy of your audit if you're a big enough organization, or your most recent 990 form. So that would be the one from 2025. We need a list of all your board members who are current, with their terms and their length of service, like how long they've been with the organization, when their term limit ends. And I'm trying to get these done ahead of time. It's your IRS W-9 form, because we can't pay you unless we have this. So some of you will have already given us one, and unless you're you know what, let's just make sure we have a new one every year, because otherwise I don't want to have any problems with finance, because all this stuff goes down to another department and then it's out of my hands. So I'm trying to like compile all the information they could possibly want so that we have no problems. And then here is supporting materials, just flyers, things, press about things that you've done, video and audio files if you're performance based. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. I've tried to simplify this as much as possible so that it would not be too overwhelming. And if we look at the local area, yeah, local arts program grant. This is slightly different. It's pretty much all the same. The only difference is that Najiska is requiring a contribution towards, if you're just doing a project, you need to do a contribution towards the grant. Let me get to it there. Okay. So it's a much simpler looking sheet here. Corporate foundation, individual donors, cash on hand means like, what have you budgeted towards your project? And yeah, this is very, very basic. But we do expect you, I'm sorry?
Then I will say the spreadsheet for the GOS is much simpler than what was done last year.
I'm trying,
You did a good job. I was like, oh, thank God.
It's been years we've been at this, and it's always like, what do we need to change this year to make this simpler? So these both, I think, are much simpler. This is the important part. Keep track of your volunteer hours, whether you're a special project or whether you're general operating support. That there is value to that, and it's not just value to us to see that you have support of volunteers in your projects. It's also, if you want to justify your existence to your local municipality or to another grant organization, those volunteer hours, they count. They may not be cash, but that time spent by your volunteers is very valuable and should be documented. And that is included in whether it's your time spent at a meeting, time spent doing whatever that you're doing to support your organization. And there is a difference, even though in this, it's only showing volunteer hours in general, there is a difference between professional volunteer hours and just regular volunteer hours. So if you're just sitting and in a booth, promoting your organization at a street fair, that's just regular volunteer hours. If you are a lawyer and you are advising pro bono, an organization, that's professional volunteer hours, and that's worth a lot more. Okay.
So Lynn, do we separate them?
I would just keep track of them yourself and just put the value, because there's a value that goes in here. You can keep track of that yourself. You don't have to separate them. We don't need to know.
Okay.
Which you should have your own records about that. But we just need to know the cash value of your volunteer hours, because we don't want you to have to, especially with the smaller organizations that are doing a special project. It's so hard to come up with the money to do some of these projects that we definitely want to give credit towards the volunteerism, towards things that are donated, not just that you went out and you got local people to give you money. That's hard to do. Businesses are getting hit up for donations constantly, and you have some that maybe your project is the highlight of their lives and they love giving you the money, but the volunteer hours and donated stuff is valuable too. And I want to make sure that that's counted as a cash value, especially towards the special project grant where we're requiring a 50% match. A lot of counties require a 1-to-1 match, and we have required a 1-to-1 match in the past. But I still think that a lot of our nonprofits are struggling because funding has the economy shrunk and funding has kind of cut off. So we're trying to make it easier for you to be able to get the grants. All right, boy, this is just zooming along. We must have done something good, better this year because I don't have a lot of questions. Does anybody have any questions in general that I can help you with? Just remember to unmute yourself if you do.
You answered all mine, Lynn. I had
Okay.
already wrote mine down.
Okay, great. So I will note that we do not allow this grant for municipalities at this time. But there are often groups that work with municipalities, like recreational groups and environmental groups and things like that, that they're of the municipality, but there are a bunch of volunteers working. So those groups, I would very highly recommend finding another nonprofit to help them as being the hosts to get a project done. Now, we wouldn't do general operating support for something like that, but if there was a special project, we could definitely work with people that way. We want to get as much good stuff going out into the community and the arts as possible.
Lynn, I have a question.
Sure.
On the budget, for the special project, on the budget spreadsheet, where it says Burlington County Arts Grant, is that where you put the amount you're asking for?
Which one? Are you a general operating support?
No, on the special project where you are, right on your screen.
Okay.
Under the earned income, the Burlington County Arts Grant, is that money that?
Yeah, that's the money you're asking from us.
Okay, so you add that in like it's. Like
Yeah, because we want to see what the total amount of income you have towards your project is.
Okay, thank you.
Lynn, would I do that for general operating support also?
No, we don't have that under general operating
All right,
support.
good, because I kind of remember seeing that. Okay.
How's everybody
Pardon
else
me,
doing?
Lynn.
Good?
Are you able to hear me?
I am, yes.
My name is Janine, and I represent the Mount Holly Board of Recreation Advisory Board, and that's in
Yes.
conjunction with the Mount Holly Director of Recreation and the Recreation, which is under a municipality. So would that preclude us from this?
No, it would preclude you from applying yourself. However, there are, and I brought that up at the end because I recognized who you were. I think we made peanut butter sandwiches next to each other.
Yes.
For the Mount Holly bike race. But
Right.
yeah, so I knew you were going to be on, so I wanted to say that there are other organizations in town that are nonprofits that would never dream of applying for this arts grant. So if you're looking for doing arts programming for Mount Holly Recreation, I would say, ask the Elks. Ask Jorge from the Mount Holly, from the bike race. Find yourself another local nonprofit that would be willing that you could run this through, that would be
Okay.
willing to work with you. Mill Race Village Arts and Preservation. I don't know what they're planning this year for their grant. There's a Main Street Mount Holly. I'm not sure if they've decided what their grant application is going to be this year. So I would say reach out to those organizations, maybe even the Rotary. Because I know that Burlington City does that. Burlington City has the Lyceum. And although we don't support the Lyceum, we support the organization that is operating the kids programming through the Lyceum. But it goes through them.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Sure, no problem. Well, I think we might be done unless there's anything else, but of course, you can always email me. We can always schedule another conversation if you have problems with the application in any way, because I know we kind of breeze through it, and sometimes you'll hit a point and you just have a question about how best to phrase something. I will be looking at all the grants before they go to the peer panel. So if I see anything that's a red flag that I feel like you need to address, I'll try to catch it. Yeah, so, you know, we want you to succeed with this. So, and I guess that's it. I'm going to say bye for now.
Lynn, thank you very much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank
Yes.
My
you.
pleasure.
Thank you, Lynn.
All
Thank
right,
you.
we'll see you all later. Good luck with your
Okay.
writing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have
Bye-bye.
a great week.
You
Bye-bye
too.
now. How do I leave? Leave. Here we go.